Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. This is going to be our March 2025 kit release video. We're caught up, at least temporarily. Promised you we get caught up. Just took a hot second. So, with this, we have a brand new tool. We have several modified reissues, some more modified than others. And, we have, of course, the usual sort of plethora of reissues as well. No kits from round 2 in this, but we do have Revell as well as Salvino's JR. So let's pop on over into the graphics and get going here, shall we? Sure. So over at Revell, we got 2 kits that are reissues. Both of them, at least in pieces and parts, are things that have not been seen in quite a while. First up, you have the wide sides. Also, how you get punched in the face if you happen to be married. 84 dually 6-wheeler pickup truck. So, there are 3 of these kits based on the same basic tooling. Were tooled up in 1981. They are snap-tight kits. Doesn't say that on the box, but they are. It's a skill level 3, which underneath the Revell scheme of assembly means that it should be a pre-painted glue kit, which obviously this is not. This is a weird short wheelbase dually. Now, there's a regular style side F-150. There is a step side F-150, and I guess they decided, hey, why not? Let's include a dually, even though obviously there's no such thing as a single cab short wheelbase dually in the history of Ford. So this is kind of a weird, odd duck. It's weirdly proportioned and compared to, if you compare it to like the Monogram Bronco and F-150 Ranger kits of the same vintage, the early 80s kits that exist. They've reissued them several times, so they're still relatively easy to find. This kit was a one-time release back in 1981. It has not seen the light of day since then. Some might say deservedly so. I'll leave it up to you to make that judgment. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. But ultimately, know that you're buying a 40-part snap-tight kit here. That's a weird, it's just even a bad kit assembly-wise, right? It's not even it's a snap-tight kit, so there's no suspension to it. There's very little chassis, or very little interior to it, and it's got some weird proportions. There's a reason why this box art is shot from a 3/4 rear end perspective, because the front end of this thing is all sorts of wonky. But again, it's sort of a weird thing. I guess if you wanted them to bring back the step side or the style side, buy this in hopes that they would. It's kind of a weird thing to pick from, but I guess the tooling is there, so run it, I suppose. I mean, it's kind of hard to get behind this because, this isn't a thing. This isn't a real truck. It was just a weird, tooling amortization decision back in the early 1980s. I believe I was, 4 when this was tooled up. Yeah, I don't agree with these childhood decisions that were made. Anyway, also at Revell, the reissue of the 29 Ford Model A hot rod pickup with California Street Chopper. So, this is kind of interesting in the sense that the California Street Chopper, the motorcycle, is in here, and yes, the motorcycle is 1/25th scale, was last reissued in 1983. Speaking of the 1980s, it was tooled up in 1963 as an original parts pack kit, as what the basis of this is. This was a parts pack kit. The 29 Model A was tooled up in 1965. It is another one of that era Revell Everything Opens kits. I've seen a few commentary pieces about the fact that it doesn't include all of the convertible pieces that used to be in this kit. Some people say it should have the stock parts. I would argue that I don't believe the stock parts were ever in this kit ever. But it is what it is. If you bought the 29 Ford Model A in its most recent reissue prior to this, then you know exactly what you're getting in this. Weird skinny tires and all the warts that this kit has ever had. Absolutely nothing's been done to it in terms of improving it other than throwing initiated decals in it. The Street Chopper, I have to warn you, based on several of these I've seen unboxed, there used to be a very large, probably about the size of a dime, except in a square, but dime sized square, if that makes sense, a hub, and that's what used to be the central mounting point for that thing when it went into the old style 1960s injection molding machines. At some point since then, probably in the 1980s when this was run, that central hub was changed and modified so that it would fit the what was then modern injection molding machines of the 1980s. And as a result, every single one of these forks I've seen for the front forks of this motorcycle are warped in almost an S. If you have one of these and you haven't opened it, I sincerely suggest that you open it and check on that to make sure, if nothing else, that at least you get the tension off of it, and maybe it'll kind of sort of merge its way back to being straight. This thing is completely chromed. It's tooled up in an era where Revell was trying to make very, very finicky things. See the Tri-5 Chevys. We just talked about the Nomad in last month's video. This is no exception. This is incredibly fiddly. You'd want to dechrome it and then try to build it and then rechrome it, if that makes sense. Just know, again, much like the Nomad and any of these old kits, know what you're getting into when you buy it. Look at the actual out-of-box reviews if you've never actually seen the contents of the pickup truck before and whatnot. I mentioned it in the video from last month. There have been a couple of videos about this kit that have been, to me, sort of asinine, because if you knew what was in this kit, you know what to expect. If you didn't know what was in this kit, maybe you should ask before you spend $30 some odd on it and get it home and then trash it, because it's very hard for me to support your trashing of a Revell kit. Like, I'm all for trashing a Revell kit every now and then, but it's kind of hard to support your trashing of a Revell kit that's literally 60 years old right now. Like, the motorcycle's 62 years old. The kit itself, 60 years old. There's almost borderline no excuse for you not knowing what you're purchasing here, but if you don't, search it out and check it out. I know people say, oh, the out-of-box reviews are so boring, blah, blah, blah. This might be one of the ones, no matter where you source that out-of-box review from, that might be worth taking a peek at so that you know what you're getting. Because I've seen some people get what they were getting and be exceptionally upset about it, calling Revell everything but white, basically, as the old joke goes. So there is that. Be aware, as always. It is what it is. I'm not surprised because I knew what was in there, but some people don't. Over at Salvino's JR, the sort of the vintage kit of the month, if you will, is this Richard Petty 1972 Chrysler Plymouth, because we don't have Roadrunner licensing, and this is the Riverside International Raceway winner. What this signifies as far as your Richard Petty collection is concerned is this was the first STP car. You may recall that they've released 71 and 72 Chrysler Plymouths. The 72 was a late car. There was a Daytona car. Riverside ran before Daytona back in the day. And so that was the first Vermilion STP car. And then the 71, I'm looking over here to where my pile of Salvino's kits I need to get rid of are. The 71 was the Plymouth by Petty, just a blue car, didn't have the SDP sponsorship at the time. So that's out there if you're interested in it. And in the modern side of things, we got the 2025 Chevrolet Camaro for Kyle Larson. So this is the primary sponsorship of his car. If you really know your Salvino's kids, you know that the Hendrick Motorsports car has basically looked like exactly like this for 4 years now. I guess if you wanted to make sure you had it specifically every one from 2022 through 2025, here's another one, but that's out there. And then there's a new IndyCar release. So remember, the Indy cars are 1/20th scale, and this is Colton Herz Andretti IndyCar Honda. There are differences between the two, like the bodies are the same, but there are engine differences between the Chevrolet and the Honda, and they are accurately represented in the Salvino's kit, so you will get a Honda engine, even though it's kind of a spec engine. It's just the way the exhausts route, a few other things that make them different, but yeah, it is in there. And if you're interested in these, it's been a little while since one of these has been available, and so this one is out there for you if you're so inclined. And that, guys, ends our brief foray into the domestic kits. So that'll take us overseas to Japan, where we have quite a few things floating around. Over at Aoshima, first up, a modified reissue. This is a Nissan 180SX. It comes in sort of a dual boxing, if you will. Now, there's only one kit in here, right? This is much like the ER34 we talked about last month. There's two kits on the box, only one kit in the box. This allows you to build either a 1989, which is the beige car on the bottom, or a 1991, which is the green car on the top. The green car on the top may, if you know your Tamiya kits really well, remind you exactly of a Tamiya kit that was done of this, that Tamiya actually did with a left-hand drive dashboard and 240SX decals, because that's how we got this car in the United States. This is JDM only, and it backdates that new Tool 180SX, it was a 1996 Type X, to earlier versions. I believe, I have not seen another one out there, I believe this is the first time you could build a legit first-gen 180SX. The green car is a mid-cycle refresh. The 1996 car was a late-cycle refresh. This is the first time that the original 180SX is a buildable model kit. You could argue about whether or not it should have left-hand drive and be a 240SX as well. Argue it all you want to. It's not that. It is what it is. But this is, like I said, available. And, basically the front fascia, rear fascia, and a few other odds and ends, including the wheels, if you remember the picture that was up there, are different. But all in all, it's a very big kit, too. It's like double depth box. Doubled in, if the old GM stereos would be called. But it's a very deep box for it only having one body in it. But a lot of parts, nonetheless. And then going back over to the kits from the movie of... I'm losing track of this. Whatever time it is. The Cibu Kitsasu. I should be able to remember that by now. But Cibu Kitsasu, there's 3 kits from that series releasing. This is a Nissan Cedric 430. This is what is known as the stealth police car. I'm guessing because it's unmarked. Otherwise, besides the specific license plates and things like that, this kit's been around both as just a civilian vehicle and as sort of a this movie series, TV series before. And then you also have the Cibu Kitsasu in the regular patrol car version. So this has, decals to do, a marked patrol car. And it has a nice set of 5-slot mags in it, as well as you see on the box art there. And then, if you've noticed in the last 2 box art, there's been a Nissan Laurel crashing. It was very prominent in that last box art. It was upside down on fire. So yes, there's also a Nissan Laurel SGX police car as well. Again, it has the same 5-slot mags. These wheels are sold separately. You may already know that. It's one of the American set of wheels, along with a set of mag wheels that have been floating around. I believe, your American hobby shops have these in stock. I think my local hobby shop has 22 sets of those wheels in stock, as a matter of fact. Really bought in on them. Mileage may vary how much you want a set. Anyway, this kit has been also reissued this way before, so yeah, it's a police car with some police equipment tossed into it. Very basic kit otherwise in terms of its contents, 1980s motorized chassis kind of thing. But that's also available if you're so inclined. And then that takes us over to our Wangan Midnight releases for this month, because why won't there be? First up here, you have Junan Hakasuka. So this is a first-gen Nissan Skyline GTR. This is... The first-gen Skyline GTRs from Aoshima are really old model kits, and they're motorized, beat the rivets into the wheel kind of thing. The only thing that's new about this are the wheel flares and stuff like that. All of the outside sort of extras were tooled up in 2008. All the rest of it goes back into the very early 1980s, so keep that in mind. It is definitely a model kit you build to have the finished display model, not for the experience of building the model. Next up, we have another Nissan 430 Cedric. So here's the cars we were just talking about as police cars. Well, here it is back as Toshiba's Cedric. Gentleman looks kind of upset that he's building a motorized generic chassis, beat the rivets into the wheels type of model kit, but nonetheless he is. And yeah, all of the parts and pieces and aero and everything in this kit go back into the 1980s. And then we have Hajami's Remember him from last month? He was driving a Soar. Well, now, in the later parts of this series, he buys himself a Toyota Celsior. Now, Toyota Celsior will look familiar to most Americans because this was a Lexus LS 400, and that's where this kit stems from in terms of its tooling. It was tooled up in 1991, so it's a much newer kit. If you ever have, for some reason or another, built the AMT Lexus LS 400 kit that was done back in 1992, that's what this is, except it's right-hand drive and a Toyota. If you, for any reason, ever had it was known as the New Trend USA boxing of the Aoshima LS 400, again, same kit, just has the Toyota Celsior stuff. It comes with two sets of wheels, got the big BBSs that are shown on the box art, and then has the regular stock Celsior rims in it as well. Very basic curbside kit, but a good kit nonetheless. In terms, we've been sort of slagging a lot of these 80s motorized nonsense. This is not that, so there's some redeeming qualities to it. And that then takes us over to the fine world of Fujimi. Speaking of slagging on some 1980s model kits, before we can do that, let's look at this first. This is the Subaru Empreza WRX STI version 6 with the GTW wing shtick added to it. So this is, of course, a street version of the rally car that was done in the late 1990s. It was 98, I think, is what these cars were supposed to be, as far as the model year on them. The GTW wing is not attached to this car. It's just a piece tossed in. This version of the Empreza has been out a number of times since it was tooled up in the late 1990s. Pretty decent curbside kit. Very much a catalog kit, as they're known, where it's nothing special. Does have a sort of a larger set of STI rims in it than it would normally have. This was an inch up kit back in the day, and yeah, if you're interested in it, it's making another pass through the world of injection molding. And then you have this. Now we're back to slagging on 1980s kits. The 7th Skyline GTS. So this is an R31 four-door Skyline GTS, because obviously there were not four-door GTRs after the original first-gen GTR, which was a four-door. So this is the same old song and dance we've been doing for months while these kits come out. This is another high society kit, which means, again, it has chrome for the fenders, and it has the weird rib for your pleasure door thing, and overall it's a generic Nissan chassis. It's motorized. It's everything you wouldn't want about a model kit in this model kit. So buyer beware on that. At least it's got 4-spoke twists instead of 3-spoke twists. Twisty wheels, definitely part of the high society reissues. And then you have this. This is a Toyota Soar 3.0 GT with prominently displayed 18-inch wheels. I think this car ran on 15s or 16s in real life, so it's an inch up. This box art, to me, looks like some crappy 1990s MS Paint line drawing. I just can't get past it. It's very weird looking. It's definitely not the model kit itself, photographed for the box, or the real car for that matter. It might be a built model kit that then they went over and sort of digitized in a way, but it's something about it just strikes me as odd. So yeah, you got giant rims in this, along with the add-on ground effects, but otherwise this is a mid-1990s Toyota Soar, mid-1990s or early 1990s kit. Not too bad in terms of Fujimi's curbsides, but again, very basic curbside, as they tend to be. And then we have this, the Drift King AE86 Levin. So this is one of the Toj Mountain Pass kits. This has the easy alignment system chassis underneath of it, so that definitely does improve this over the last time it was offered in the Drift King series. And, yeah, it is what it is. There's a carbon fiber decal for the hood, even though it's not shown on the box art, but, yay, carbon fiber. Fujimi's carbon fiber, about as good as Tamiya's carbon fiber when it comes to proper sizing and sort of mesh patterns. And I believe, unless I'm mistaken, yes, that is the last of the Fujimi kits. So huzzah, hooray for that. Going over to Hasegawa, we have a reissue of their R32 GTR in the Japanese Touring Car Championship Racing guise. This is the HKS Skyline from the 1992 season. The black and green car, obviously, in the box art before it got all motor oily and art card. You do have to paint the green on this kit. It doesn't; those are not included in the decals. Decals is a very, very small sheet in here, just with the numbers and the sponsorship printing, if you will. There's no color whatsoever other than the headliner there that's has the powered by HKS. HKS, kind of a fun backstory. Won't like go too long into this, but it's a fun backstory that they were one of the only race teams that tuned their own engines. Nismo tuned the engines for the Skylines throughout the 4 years that they were dominant in Japanese Touring Championship, and HKS was like, nah, we have our own, we'll do our own, thank you. So kind of cool. They did end up winning some races later in the season, or later in the series, with the 93 car. I believe the 91 car also won, but the 92 did not. So that's that. Over to a Trust-sponsored Toyota 92 CV. This is a 1992 Japanese sports car prototype series. And this is the sort of newer tool 92 CV. This was done up, I want to say 3 years ago now was when this kit first debuted as a 91 CV. Changes were made to make it a 92 CV. And this kit itself has some additional canards. If you look at the front end of that, there's like a set of black canards on the bottom, but also a set of white canards up by the headlights. Those are new. There's a different set of mirrors and a different set of side windows as well. This decal sheet, minus the black that goes on the bottom, because that's sort of where the body splits from the chassis. So that's not really a thing you're going to paint. You can just paint the black will be with the chassis itself. All the rest of the coloring on there, minus the black on the spoiler, is included as decals, so that's pretty nice. And these are pretty intense little curb sides. They don't have engines, but they are 130 plus pieces, so there's still a lot of detail being packed into those. And then we have the Isuzu 117 Coupe early versions, detail up version. Many versions in this kit. And what this comes out to be is a first gen 117 Coupe, back when these were still handmade cars. And this adds a couple of, I think it's only one, it might be 1.5, but one sheet of photo etch. And this will give you scripts for the front and the rear and the sides, several interior pieces as well, some PE license plates, just a little bit of it costs about $5 more than the original kit cost, and it just gives you a little bit of detail, up, but it gives you, just a little odds and ends to make the kit look better. It'd be interesting if they would sell these PE frets separately for those of us who already have kits. I don't want to sell mine, buy another one, because I'm not gonna come out ahead on that transaction. But be that as it may, it's available. And then this kit has been out for a while. It was tooled up back in the early 1990s, but it hasn't been in the catalog recently, and they've refreshed the box art completely, and that is a Subaru Empreza Sports Wagon WRX. Now, Hasegawa has this early 90s Empreza, 93, 94 Empreza, that they did as a sedan to do the rally car. Somewhere along the lines, they decided to do a station wagon version, because there's a street Empreza 4-door, not just the rally version. And then there's this station wagon, which obviously just uses a different body mold and utilizes the rest of the civilian Empreza chassis with a little insert for the back, so it does, so that you have your grocery cover on the hatchback area, so you don't just look down into nothing that would be there otherwise. But it's a pretty cool little kit. I have one from many reissues ago, and it's a unique. It's a station wagon with a spoiler on it. How can you go wrong? And then we have the Suzuki Jimny JA113 with base carrier. Kit itself is the same Suzuki Jimny it's been for the last several reissues. The roof rack on here is 3D printed. So instead of that weird multi-piece PE roof rack, this one just has, the base carrier, right? It doesn't have anything up there. There's no bike, there's no toolbox, there's nothing like that. It's just the rack itself as 3D printed parts. So cool little extra, I guess. If you have not purchased one of these in the past and, you're looking at it sort of for the first time, definitely worth the investment. Very, very, very nice kit. It's tooled up, I want to say it's about 7 years ago, but this is within the space and time of Hasegawa's sort of renaissance in doing new tool automotive kits constantly. And speaking of which, the last kit we're going to talk about from Hasegawa is a new tool kit, and here is the Honda Civic SIR EF9 1990. So, what's so great about this, you might ask? Well, the Honda fans out there already know the answer to this. The folks over at BMAX and Nunu, which we like to affectionately call Bima Nunu, have done an EF3 and EF9 Honda Civic of this generation from the late 80s through the early 1990s that were all involved in Japanese touring car championship racing. They are all race cars. None of them have civilian interiors. None of them have civilian trim. They're all race cars. They're all race cars. They're all race cars. This one is the first time ever, 1990 to 2025, that's 35 years now. This is the first time that any EF Civic has been offered in a civilian trim ever. Ever. So, I know it won't float a lot of people's boats in terms of like the where's my American muscle hot rod RRR gasser crowd. But for the import crowd, this solves a lot of people's problems because it was one of those situations where, like, do you want to try to, 3D print up a civilian interior for it and civilian bumpers and civilian trim? And Hasegawa was like, hold yourself, fam, we got you. And they've done this. Now, the interior does have the stamped floor that a lot of the dual-use Hasegawa kits have, where they're going to be a race car in the future, and this will be a race car in the future for sure. But in the meantime, a little flocking will take care of that, and you have yourself a very nice civilian Honda Civic, which is something that a lot of people have wanted for a very long time, and now finally are able to get. Lastly, before we go out the door here, a couple of Japanese-only releases. These are still in stock before I checked, before I made this video, even in the middle of April. These are still in stock. And then first, these are new kits that have SK decal sheets included with the kit. So if you don't like the box art scheme, you're going to get another set of decals. We'll show you the decals as well to modify this into something else. So first up, you have the BMW 320 SI, 2008 version. This builds Jan Mueller's 2008 Brands Hatch winner. But if you're so inclined to buy this kit, you get the 2006 BMW 320 WTCC, the World Touring Car Championship Gia Race of Macau livery for Team BMW UK. And if you are any fan whatsoever of the old Gia Race of Macau, this is currently now what is known as the FIA Macau GT Cup. It's a GT3 race since about 2008, I believe, was the first year that it went to that. It was a World Touring Car Championship race for a number of years, and then it became a GT3 race. 2011, actually, is the first year that it was a GT3 race. Anyway, be that as it may, Watson's Water has been a sponsor in some form or fashion of a car in Macau for going back into the late 1980s. So this is sort of a very, cool to me anyway. I have this decal sheet anyway, so I don't need to buy this kit per se, but the Watson's Water thing is very cool. You can build so many Watson Water cars, and Watson's is a convenience store over there, and so this was their bottled water chain advertisement, and it's just cool. It's a very, very Macau thing, if you will. Very period, although I think Watson's convenience store still sponsors things in the touring car, like the TCR races that are held there. But this was it's a very period, very Macau specific thing. They didn't sponsor things outside of that one race. And then the other kit being reissued with extra decals is the Chevy Cruz. This is the 2013 WTCC World Champion. This is Jan Mueller's, his brother's car, and he won the 2013 WTCC Championship in this car, in this livery. If you're not so inclined to do a Russian oil company livery, this one comes with the Aviva livery from the 2012 Shanghai Grand Prix, and this will give you I cannot for the life of me think of what this gentleman's first name is, but it has a Turkington, who's a British touring car championship driver. It's his ride for that race. I believe he won this race or placed very high in this race. That's why this set of decals was done specifically. But yeah, it's just a cool little option. I'm very happy for Frankie, who's the owner of SK Decals. This is, I think, the third wave of these kits that have been done with his sheet of decals included in them as a option. Again, you have to buy them through Japan. It's not something that is going to be packaged outside of Japan in terms of sales, but these ones at least are still available, and there should be some more coming in April. A couple of more touring cars that are going to have SK decals included in them too. So like I said, for Frankie's personal success, I love this for him to have his decals included in the kits, and not just sort of used as a version of the kits. Every now and then, you'll see me talk about a VMAX kit that is based on his decals. Like, he does the art for that and all that, but they're not actually, his sheets. These are printed that he can recoup his investment in the actual decal sheets for. So anyway, guys, that wraps it up. If all goes to plan, you've watched this video while you're either eating breakfast or standing in line for NNL East. I am in the building somewhere. Look for me, James Testers, Sean Svensson, all in our Automotive Podcast t-shirts. They're gray shirts with our logo on the left breast pocket area. Not pockets, but where the pocket would be. And and everybody else that was on this past episode of the Automotive Podcast, Frank Steffens, Lewis Hicks, Ryan Kaiser, Marcos Cruz, thanks again to all those guys for showing up, first of all. But all those folks that were on that podcast for our little NNL East tailgate, we're all here somewhere too. So find us all. Hang out. It's a great part about this hobby is making friends and being social. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it, and see you on the other side.